Good evening. I'm Lisa Gonzalez from KCRA 3 and My 58. For more than a year, KCRA 3 has taken on the challenge of addressing the ongoing addiction epidemic, not only here in California, but across the country. And our hope is that you will see here that we have tried to not only show that there is a problem that exists, but also we've tried to show what is being done to address the crisis.
I was crying in the hospital.
28 in Sacramento County, including 6 deaths.
It changes everything.
We really need to change our approach to people who are addicted.
He did not intend to die.
We see kids as young as 8th grade.
They got it from friends, from neighbors.
And I'm just a young boy. I don't think I'm supposed to be going through this right now.
It would make me sleep. Like, it was like sleeping, but being coherent. Like, I don't know how to explain it. Lucid dreams. Sophomore, junior year, I remember going to the medicine cabinet and, finding something like pills to go take when I hang out with friends and or medicate myself because, I was having issues.
This man lies in his car, head on the windowsill, still as death. The high so strong he doesn't budge, not even when the deputies are right next to him. Police say he shot up with heroin right in the parking lot of the Sacramento County Courthouse.
You don't really stop to think about, the rights and wrongs.
Well, we'd get the death certificates that we process here at Public Health, and we noticed that there was a lot more people than should be overdosing based off of opioids.
James Wilson is with the Plumas County Health Department. While just 18,000 people live here, Plumas County has more than 19,000 prescriptions for narcotic painkillers. Plumas hasn't had a heroin problem. They've had a prescription problem.
Yeah, you guys know a lot about this already.
The situation got so bad, kids in the Quincy Junior High asked their teacher for help.
The students there actually asked if they would be able to be trained in how to reverse an overdose.
I didn't just justify it for myself, but I told myself that other people were justifying it as well. Like, I told myself my dad, would rather me take one of his pills than do something else.
Her collection includes ugly pictures too, like the ones that show Derek crashed out on a chair or bench.
We found him passed out on the kitchen floor with a needle hanging down from falling out of his hand.
Linda says Derek's problems began in the Army and eventually led him to heroin. She says a couple of months ago, Derek was arrested and given court-ordered drug treatment, but he never showed up. Now he's on the streets.
I cry constantly. I mean, that's my baby out there.
Derek! Derek!
So she'll keep walking through homeless camps.
I'm on a mission to find my son.
And driving to old motels until she does.
It's the hardest thing for me to do because that's my boy out there. Even though he's a grown man, he's my boy. And he's sick. And he needs help. And I can't get him help. And I need to find him.
You really realize how serious this problem is when all of our phones are busy, and I love to see different teams working together. Some folks from El Dorado County, from Sacramento, from Yuba County, they're all over our area answering your calls. Anything you have questions about, whether it's addiction, someone that maybe yourself, you've been in a kind of bad place for a while and you want to talk to somebody about what to do. You just saw Ariel Lovett from Community Recovery Resources in this story, and she's with us tonight actually answering phone calls. And it really struck me, I think, listening to that and just speaking with you, that this is a family problem and can be a family-focused therapy that you offer.
Exactly. And I think that all the professionals here recognize that substance use disorder really does affect the whole family and can affect people, can and does, of all ages and stages in life. And what we've really tried to build at Community Recovery Resources is a response to that really meets people where they are.
The adolescent outreach program helped me really understand who I am as a person deep down, from hanging out with friends to doing drugs to how I feel on a day-to-day basis. I mean, the adolescent outreach program helped me find my underlying reason for drugs, but also that void the drugs were filling.
To our state of addiction coverage, and with talk of addiction, the focus can fall on the drugs themselves or on the struggles that drug addiction brings.
But the Focus for Recovery shows that these are symptoms of bigger problems. Community Recovery Resources in Nevada and Placer counties takes the focus beyond mere addiction.
I mean, just opportunities that CORE offers. It's like nothing I've ever seen.
Eric Lester is a recovering addict who found the opportunity to get clean and sober at Community Recovery Resources, or CORE.
Years of methamphetamines, that was my addiction.
For Eric, coming to CORE was entrance to a life he had never known before.
You know, getting a hug when you walk in the door, first thing, it was different. It's not something I was used to. Learning what my triggers were, learning how bad of a denial that I had, you know, not having any concept of living a life that didn't include drugs or alcohol.
CORE's Grass Valley facility has 40 beds with men and women in separate quarters. Its recovery program focuses on the body, the mind, and the spirit. So getting healthy also means required workouts and therapy to get to the root cause of their addiction.
One of the things they taught me was to not look too far into the future, just focus day to day.
But what sets CORE apart from other recovery programs is its focus on healing the family, not just the substance abuser.
That's one of the things I learned was the huge cascade effect that my addiction had. You know, people close to me, my children obviously, wife, family, mother. So they took a look at that, you know, and they got my family involved in my recovery, marriage counseling, family therapy with my mom and dad, parenting classes, just every dynamic of the family life, kind of rebuilding it from scratch.
Whenever possible, whenever we have family who's in a place that's, you know, willing and able to support, we do.
Jenny Cutler is the clinical director at CORE. She says the intent is to work with the whole person and their whole family. So that can mean everything from medical treatment to therapy, help for the patient, their parents, and even their kids.
Always the goal was sort of a full service kind of continuum so that people had every reason to be able to come here and get their treatment and consistently get their treatment so that child care needs were met.
Our goal is really to support mothers and fathers coming to treatment, seeking treatment for alcohol and substance abuse.
Julie Smith is the child development specialist for CORE's Roseville facility. A lot of kids coming into the facility are facing trauma themselves, either from parents using drugs or domestic abuse or just neglect.
All of our child development specialists, we're all trauma informed. We're trained to work with these children. And when we see that maybe there's a developmental delay or something triggered from their upbringing in a home that was violent, or maybe they experienced neglect, we're able to make appropriate referrals to their parents and suggest maybe child therapy or speech therapy.
CORE is also linked in with local schools, meeting teens on their own turf.
We do on-site adolescent services as well as off-site. We work really closely with the schools, the county schools as well as the public school system.
Summer Wadman Huntley has worked with teens at CORE for almost 15 years. She says that reasons for addiction are often the same in adults and kids. But for teens, removing the stigma and getting them coping skills early is important.
So we're not stereotyping them as bad kids or good kids, you know, they're just kids and they just don't know how to deal with adolescent stuff without drugs or alcohol yet because they haven't been given any of those tools. So it's really a socialization process that gets missed, I think, for a lot of kids.
Learning what triggers the desire for those drugs is something CORE helped Eric Lester do.
So one of the things they taught me how to do is communicate, which I had zero communication skills. So I have a group of people, you know, walking the same path. So when I get a little sideways or I have something go through my head, and it's not stuck in my head. I have a lot of people that I'm talking to and getting their perspective.
We are humbled that CORE is honoring us tonight. And while we have covered this epidemic for the last year, the staff and management at CORE are facing this every single day. And for that, we honor you. And on behalf of everyone at KCRA 3 and My 58, we say thank you.